Fujifilm lensware 50mm f2 versus 35mm f2. What to choose? Let me tell you in this video now. Hi there, my name is Tudor Matescu, and on my channel I talk about photography, gear, tips and tricks. So if you are interested in subject like this, please subscribe. So let's get to the subject and talk what to choose and what I think it is the best and why it is the best to choose one of these two lenses. The first aspect that we must talk in this video, it is the aspect regarding the focal length. And this is very important because I'm comparing two different lenses with two different focal lengths. So let's talk about the 35mm f2 on Fujifilm and 50mm f2 on Fujifilm. So the 35mm f2 will give you a 53mm equivalent field of view, and the 50mm lens will give you around 75mm field of view on a full frame. So this is almost a tele lens, almost a portrait lens, and this is a general 50mm lens. Regarding the 50mm field of view, I have no complaints. The only complaint that I have regarding this lens, I've talked in another video, please check the links from the card. It is the fact that I don't like that this lens has a 53mm field of view and not 50mm field of view. To have that 50mm field of view, it will have to be a 33mm lens, but it's not. But it is what it is, so I have no complaints. You can do all kinds of pictures with this lens, the types of pictures that you are doing with a 50mm lens. It is a little restrictive being a 53 and not a 50, but not something that it will bother you so much. So it is okay, it's acting like a 50mm lens field of view. So no complaints here regarding the field of view of this 35mm f2 on Fujifilm. Now regarding the 50mm f2 on Fujifilm, this lens, it is giving you a 76mm field of view more exactly. Let's call it a 75 because we have that focal length on Leica cameras, and we also have on Sony cameras this kind of lenses. So I'm thinking to judge this lens, this focal lens, thinking about those systems. But for me personally, I don't like the 75mm field of view, and especially with an f2 aperture. Why I don't like it? Because it isn't sufficient. It's not too long to get the subject that you want. So if you want a tele, if you want a portrait lens, you will always feel the need to go a little more. You will feel the need of an 85 and 90mm field of view equivalent lens. This is a 56mm lens on Fujifilm. So the 75mm, I don't like it too much for portraits, and especially at f2 aperture. Also, I don't like this field of view in crowded places or not so crowded places. It delivers, it's okay, but I don't feel this focal length. So this lens, regarding the focal length, it is nowhere. It is not in the middle, it is not a portrait lens, it is not a documentary lens, it's not an abstract lens. You can do all this kind of stuff. You can do it, but only if you are very, very dedicated to this field of view, and only if you want this f2 aperture on a lens like this, on a small lens. And I don't understand why would you want an f2 and not an f1.4. So at the focal length battle, I really can't give the win to this lens. I do prefer in all situations involved a 90mm field of view lens or an 85mm field of view lens. They are having more sense for me. Regarding the focal lenses, I want to tell you now a little about my experience using different focal lenses on different systems, so you can get a grasp of my experience and understand why I am saying that. So here I have Viltrox 56mm f1.4, excellent for documenting all kinds of events, for portraits, for indoor photography where I want portraits, for outdoor photography and so on, for detailed macro or close-up shots. Very good, very useful. I can't do this with the 75mm field of view. Also here I have a zoom, 12 to 45mm zoom on a micro four thirds camera. This means it is a 24mm to 90mm zoom. And I've chosen this zoom after using for a long time the standard zoom, the 24 to 70mm zoom. This is a 28 to a 75mm zoom on Sony, and again I tell you that 75 it is not sufficient. I wanted to show you a smaller zoom from Lumix, 24 to 60, and but I can't find it right now. But the idea that I want to tell you is that the 75 end of a zoom or the 60mm end of a zoom, it is not sufficient to go there, to get that shot, that close-up shot or that portrait, or to get in the scene where you are. I always prefer to go with a zoom that it is offering me the 90mm field of view or with a prime. This is the Viltrox Prime. So for me, the 75mm field of view, it doesn't have any sense, and especially at this f2 aperture. And making a small bracket, I want to say why at this aperture. I can understand the 50mm f1.0 from Fujifilm. I can also understand the Samylax 75mm on Leica, and also Samyang 75mm f1.8 on Sony. These lenses are portrait lenses. They are lenses that will give you a portrait with lots of bokeh, with lots of autofocusing area. And it's okay for a lens at this focal length and with that aperture. But an f2 on APS-C, you will not get enough bokeh. You will not get enough buttery smooth bokeh. You'll get some bokeh, but why not use a 56mm f1.4 that will melt the background and that will give you a more close-up look. So it doesn't have sense for me, at least. So this is why the 75mm length, and especially at this aperture, it is losing the battle. Let's now compare these lenses for portraits. I can tell you that I can get good portraits with both lenses. I can't tell you this is better or this is better. I can get very good portraits with both of the lenses. So I can't say, well, I will take this lens because I want to make portraits. No, I'm not taking this lens for portraits. It's not so special to say, okay, I need this lens as a portrait lens. No, it's not a portrait lens because of that f2. But this is also a portrait lens because you have f2, but you can get very close, and getting close will give you a lot of the background space being blurred. So with this I will not have a lot of background space being blurred, and also this lens, when I'm getting close, I feel it makes the face a little fatter. I don't like how it is rendering the face up close, but this 53mm, it is rendering the face okay. So regarding the portraits nature of these lenses, I can tell you that we can consider this battle being equal, but I incline to go with the 35mm f2 for portraits also, because how I've said, it is rendering the face in a much more pleasing way than the 75mm f2 from Fuji. Regarding street photography, Regarding street photography, when I first bought this lens, I've had some good moments with it. I've obtained beautiful images, extraordinary images, but I felt again that 75mm focal length, I felt that it wasn't sufficient. I felt that I wasn't able to be there. The first impression was that I felt this lens like a 50mm lens, offering me the chance to get more tight compositions. But as I've used it, I felt that I've missed the 50mm. So this lens, it is performing okay just in some situations. So I can't say this is a very good street photography lens. It is, you can do it, but you must be really dedicated to this field of view. This is the problem with this. You can get good composition, you can do street photography with it. It is not too restrictive, it is not too tele. But if you want a more versatile lens, of course, again, the 50mm field of view, the 50mm field of view, this 35mm f2 lens, it is winning this battle too. It is a more powerful lens for street photography. You can do more with this lens. Regarding indoor photography, I must tell you again, the 35mm f2, it wins this round very easily because it is very versatile indoor. You can get portraits, you can get contextual portraits, you can do some close-up shots, and also it is very good for different product shots. Of course, for product shots, I would recommend the 50mm f2 lens, but again, for product shots, I do prefer using 56mm f1.4 from Viltrox because it helps me to get closer to the product. But it depends. Regarding product photography, I can use the 50mm f2 from Fuji. Before continuing this video, please be sure after watching it to subscribe to my channel, to check my blog site for more relevant content about photography and to get your free private POV of me shooting an event with X-Pro-C and X100V. So let's continue. Another important aspect, it is the AF, the autofocusing system. This lens, it is slower than the 35mm f2 and I really don't like that. The image quality is the same on the both lenses, good image quality, good rendering, but the AF on this lens, it is not as fast as the 35mm f2 lens. It is as on Viltrox 56mm f1.4 or even slower, it depends, I don't know. But I don't like the AF too much. It is doable, it is workable, but it is bothering me. The war, it is really won by the 35mm f2. And if someone was able to advise me before buying this lens, I really would not have bought this lens for my kit. I don't have nothing with the lens. It is a good lens. It is a very good addition to the kit, but it's not something that I can say I really need it. I really need it. For example, I can say about the Viltrox 56mm f1.4 that I really need it. Yes, it is a little bigger, but it is not very heavy. The rendering, it is beautiful, it is amazing, and that f1.4 and that reach of a 56mm lens, it is something that I really need in my kit. This 50mm f2 I don't need. I really don't need this focal length at this aperture. I really would love to have a 50mm f1.4 small lens like this, or a 56mm f2 lens. So something like this and small like this. So if you are asking what to choose between the 50mm f2 and the 35mm f2, I must tell you, choose the 35mm f2. That lens, it is very good. You'll obtain good results in all kinds of situations, and if you want more for portraits, for low light shooting, for isolating your subject, go with the 35mm f1.4 from Fuji. On a newer body like X4, X-Pro-C, X-T4, you will not have AF problems. And if you have the money and if you accept the weight, you can also go for the 30mm f1.4 from Fuji or go for Viltrox that it is cheaper than 33mm f1.4. But you can really skip this lens in your kit. This is my opinion. I have it, I will keep it probably a month or two, and I will try to sell it because, how I've said, I don't find any sense for this focal length and at this aperture. I've got good results with this lens, as you can see in my street photography video cut here, and I really love that lens for what it is offering me. But I can get the same results or better results with the 56mm f1.4 from Viltrox. And when I shoot that scene that I'm showing pictures now in the park with the boats, I feel that the 56mm f1.4 from Viltrox, that extra reach, it was welcomed more than this 50mm f2 reach, the 75mm field of view. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, it really helps. Subscribe, share my video to your friends, and also please be sure to check my free and private POV on how I shoot a turbulent event using Fujifilm X100V and Fujifilm X Pro 3. Please tell me what you think, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.